Tips for a great latch with your newborn baby during breastfeeding. I have 7 of them for you here today, so let's get into the video. Okay, so the first tip that I have for you on getting a good latch actually is something that I didn't even know about until this baby number 6, and I've spoken about it in other videos, is the yogurt that is made with the bacteria infantis. Now, you can buy this as a probiotic supplement for your baby, but it's actually quite expensive. It's like $100 for a 30-day supply. But as I've been reading Dr. William Davis's book, Super Gut, I'm such an advocate of him, very into fermented foods I am. Also, I'm into Donna Schwank. You should go check her out if you're at all interested in this. But this is a bacteria that has been lost to babies because it has been lost to mothers. You know, our society is so caught up in antibiotic usage, and then, you know, C-sections are quite common, which I've had 3 of them, so I'm not necessarily knocking them. If you have to have it, you have to have it. But anyways, this bacteria, he talks about why not make a yogurt with it. I mean, the probiotics themselves for the baby are good, sure, but when you ferment something long and slow, you are multiplying those good bacteria. And so when you do that, you yourself can eat the yogurt. And it is a good idea to do this before you even have the baby. I did not do that because... No, I take that back. I did do that. I was able to get all the stuff I needed about a week before he came. So I was able to get that good bacteria inside of my body. But I had a planned C-section with my 6th baby, Simon. And so all those antibiotics kill that bacteria. Some bacteria can't be killed by antibiotics. And I'm not sure if that one can. I'm probably pretty sure, but I had that yogurt ready to go within hours of having him so that I could replenish my body. But this yogurt goes into, you know, your baby not being colicky. It goes into high IQ. It goes into sleeping good. It goes into so many things. And so, you know what? I'm convinced it goes into the latching too. Feeding, they feed very well. Dr. William Davis says in his book that and I think this is when they get a little older, it cuts down on diapers because, you know, they're able to properly use your breast milk. This bacteria helps your baby digest breast milk. My first baby was super colicky and he threw up every single time I nursed him. And I wonder, I will never know, I wonder if he had trouble digesting my breast milk. So I will link the Super Gut book in my description here, as well as everything that you will need to make that yogurt. That is my first tip for getting a good latch. Baby Simon came out and he was latching within, you know, minutes of me having him. I mean, he just came out knowing how to do it. And so maybe those antibiotics didn't kill all of it. I don't know, but that is one of my tips for getting a good latch. My second tip, this goes for before you even leave the hospital. Do not give your baby a pacifier. Now, there was a pacifier in the bassinet where Simon was laying, and actually I did end up breaking down and using it because he was really fussy one of those first days. I'm sure it was because of the vitamin K shot that he had. I'm not, you know, a super big advocate of, you know, indoctrinating my baby's body. Indoctrinating, I've never heard of that with shots, but, you know, but he wouldn't be able to be circumcised without it, so we just had to do it. And I'm wondering if that made him fussy. Anyways, there's no way I would know. But anyways, I did break down and use the pacifier one day, and then I set it aside. But the reason you shouldn't do a pacifier, in my opinion, is because the pacifier is not like your breast. And so if he gets used to the pacifier, he's going to have trouble latching onto you. Also, I think the pacifier can wear them out, and then they don't have the energy to suck on your breast. And so try to avoid the pacifier if you can. Third tip, breastfeed as often as you can, 2 to 3 times per hour while they're days old, weeks old. I'm still waking up 2 to 3 hours with Simon. I mean, he's still cluster feeding. And they hit a cluster feed in the 2 to 3 week age, and so he's still kind of cluster feeding. And so when he was first born, he was waking up every 3 hours to eat, and now it's every 2, just the cluster feeding, I think. And so but be doing that. I mean, it's practice. Not only does your baby need to regain that birth weight that when he was born, his birth weight, but he also it's practice. It's practice for him and for you. And the more you do it, the better you will get at it, the better he will get at it. My next tip number 4, is to have a comfy position while you nurse. Now, I cradle my baby like this on each side. There are other holds that you can do. You can, there's the football hold. You can go and research that. I've actually only ever done this hold with my babies, and it has worked for us. But do what is comfortable for you. If it doesn't feel comfortable for you, then don't do it. My next tip number 5, repeat what works. If something is working, obviously do it over. Keep doing what works. You don't need to get fancy and get into like the trendy stuff. Like if you learn something different, I mean, this is the deal. If what you're doing works, why introduce something different? I mean, let's have like a routine. Your baby's going to get used to you. Your baby's going to get used to what you're doing. You're going to get used to it. And just do what works. You don't need to get fancy with this, with different holds. If the basic hold like this works, do that. When I nurse my baby Simon on this side, I actually sit on my leg, and that my thigh on this side kind of helps hold up his arm like this. And then when I nurse on this side, I actually cross my legs, in the front, and then that thigh there helps hold up his head on this side. It's nothing fancy that I do. That's what works for me. Do what works. My next tip I have for you, be patient. This takes time. If you start in the beginning and it's rough and your baby's just not getting it, try to be patient with your baby. He's learning you. You're learning him. I know that you've been carrying around this precious little baby for 9 months, but you don't technically know this baby yet, and just be patient with him. He's learning how to latch. He's learning how to eat. He's learning how to, how to poop. That's a big deal. I mean, he's learning how to handle gas and tummy aches and hiccups and all of this stuff. So be patient with him. He's going to get it. And be patient with yourself too. My last tip, not that this is the last tip for breastfeeding, but my last tip for you here today is to tell your baby that you love him or her every single time that you nurse. This is something that I did with all of my children. We can get so caught up in all the things that we have to do and this and that, and we're tired, and maybe the breastfeeding's not going as like we want it to or whatever, and then we can forget that we have this precious little one in our arms. Your little baby, he or she, they hear you. They feel what you feel. And just slow down. Try to enjoy this. Be patient and tell your baby that you love him every single time, because you know what? Your baby hears it, but you also hear it too. Even if this is hard, you hear yourself that I love you. I love this. Yes, this might be hard, but I love you. Those are my tips for how to get a good latch. If you found 1 or 2 things helpful in this video today, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, bye for now.